rats. So every New Yorker's least favorite topic is probably rats, I would say. So in Harlem specifically, they're definitely not the best topic. So Harlem is, as of right now, probably the worst neighborhood for rats. And I'm gonna explain why in this video and what makes rats so attracted to a certain neighborhood. Because there's actually some science behind this. So there's a few reasons that set Harlem up specifically for a disaster case when it comes to attracting rats. So the city knows this, the city is aware of this, and they're kind of trying to track the activity regularly to figure out the best way to handle this situation in Harlem. So whenever there's a high population in a neighborhood, and a lot of food sources in a neighborhood, rats are going to be attracted to that neighborhood, which is definitely the case, especially for central Harlem. That's where most of the food sources are going to be in the neighborhood. Therefore, rats are going to go there because they think they can get food. That's all they want. So I would say if you look at the most recent rat map, and yes, there is a rat map in New York City, the city releases it once a year based off activity that they get through the rat trap bait things that they put out throughout the city. So that's how they monitor the actual activity in certain neighborhoods all across Manhattan and actually all across all boroughs really. So we're gonna put a picture of the rat map here, kind of focusing specifically on Harlem. Now, so if you look at the map, South Harlem is definitely gonna be the most concentrated area that's gonna have the most rat activity. So ever since the pandemic, the rat problem in New York City as a whole, not just in this neighborhood, but as a whole, has been at an all-time high. And let me tell you, you can definitely tell by walking through the streets of Manhattan, that's for sure. So another thing that also attracts rats to this neighborhood specifically, so Central Park is a huge location for rats. So not only is Central Park huge, but rats can be found literally throughout the entire Central Park. So talk about picturesque, because when a lot of people picture Central Park, they don't really picture all the rats there. But if you walk through Central Park enough times, if you spend time there and really pay attention, you can actually see tons of them just like hanging out, just like a squirrel hangs out in the suburbs. It's kind of crazy actually. But at the same time, I always kind of like try to put myself in the shoes of a rat, even though rats don't wear shoes, but you get my point. So I try to imagine, like, if I was a rat, would I live in Central Park? Yeah, I would definitely live in Central Park. Of course I would. There's probably food sources from people eating and leaving things behind in Central Park. It's beautiful, and there's plenty of places to hide and sleep in Central Park, so of course I would live there. Now, Harlem is bordering North Central Park. So other neighborhoods that are also bordering Central Park, like the Upper East Side, Upper West Side, tend to have more of a rat problem than downtown does, at least at this time of filming this video. So that is going to be also a main source of where rats are coming from. They're coming from the park and then going to the neighborhood and going back to the park. So if you see rats, there are actual numbers and complaint sources online through the city of New York City where you could kind of put in your complaint or your reporting, your citing. So the city wants to get a hold of this as much as they can. However, sometimes, especially when it gets really out of control, it's hard for them to be able to put the systems in place fast enough to be able to manage it. Now, I'm not saying you should be terrified of the neighborhood of Harlem because, trust me, there are rats in every single neighborhood. Another thing to consider when looking at the rat report that is released every year is that, so not every neighborhood is as monitored as other neighborhoods. The city is going to monitor the neighborhoods that they know have the biggest problem with it. So that's probably also why the numbers are going to seem so high in Harlem. If you look at the map, there are some neighborhoods that haven't even been as monitored as Harlem, as the Upper East Side, as the Upper West Side, which are all reported as high rat neighborhoods. So that's just something to keep in mind too, is that not all neighborhoods are really represented properly there. Or if they're not putting out the rat baits in those neighborhoods, then how can they track the activity of other neighborhoods if they don't have the bait there, which they're using to track? I mean, the report could be skewed a little bit. That's always something to think about when you're looking at data. But I just want you to be aware of it in Harlem. And I don't want anyone also to think that I'm picking at Harlem in this video. I'm doing these videos talking about the rat report and how to handle rats and where they are in every single neighborhood. So it's not just Harlem, even though Harlem tends to be one of the worst, at least right now at the time of this video. But definitely just something to be aware of, prepared for, and it's okay because there are rats all over New York City, unfortunately. But it's just something that we have to deal with if you want to be a New Yorker. So I honestly hate making this video and hate giving you this bad news, but it's the truth. And if you have any crazy experiences with rats, it doesn't have to be specifically in Harlem, it could be anywhere in New York City. Or if you have any advice for anybody in this video, please share them in the comments because I love hearing from you guys.